Are there times where you feel lost?
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. Marshall Goldsmith, certified executive coach, founder of Coaching for Relevance, joins us live today from the Dallas-Fort Worth area to talk more, about adversity, to talk about helping you. And of course, people like himself can do so much as an executive coach, as an expert in so many facets. He's here to tell you it's going to be okay. And he's helping you, businesses. He's helping so many with his work and his skills. And he's joining us today here to talk more about the coaching with his leaders, his teams, and, going through adversity, which we'll get to. So, Randy, back to the show. Great to have you here, and always a pleasure to see your happy face. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and I'll tell you what, it's always a pleasure to be on here with you, Jill. I've been on for a lot of them, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
I've known
Randy
for years, and he is good as it gets. I mean, really, coachingforrelevance.com. He's selfless. He's hardworking. He loves his family. He loves what he does, and he's going to work till the day he dies. And I could say that because he said it a million times already, and he will. And, he wants to teach people things. And
when am I going to retire? When I take my last breath?
Exactly. And leaving behind a legacy of people and companies that he's helped, and let alone, all his other assets. We're talking books, movies, all this stuff. But please say hello, introduce yourself, and then we'll get started with today's topic. Thank you.
Okay. Well, as you said, Marshall Goldsmith, certified executive coach, Randy Swaim. And not only am I an executive coach, but as you know, so much of my journey has been involved in military and aviation and military aviation and flying jets for years and years. And for the last 25 years, training and certifying and developing jet pilots and flight crews kind of thing, and using the coaching perspectives to bring it to that. And also, as you know, I'm also now a certified master level neuroplastician with the Institute for Organizational Neuroscience in Germany, which is how the brain works. And I have an aspect, and you know this, Jill, but I have a concept that's trademarked for me out of Washington, which is organizational maneuverability. And you know what? How are you going to truly be successful when not everything fits a rote academic picture, kind of thing? Because you know what? In the real world, not everything always does. It varies. And so sort of doing that. And as you said, my autobiography has been published on Amazon. And now it sounds like the Hollywood documentary movie is getting close to being published and everything. So it's I'm humbled by all that. But it's been an exciting journey from day one up until now.
Yay. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate all you do. And I know you want to discuss it's adversity today, right?
Yeah. And in fact, if you want, I'll share kind of the intro of that, of why I mentioned that. And if you think about this aspect of adversity, it's a central concept when you're talking about organizational maneuverability, where not everything fits what you'd expect it to be, kind of thing. And I will say this, that, it's interesting how many times I've heard somebody who tried to be a leader and all that kind of stuff sit there and just go with some rote academic thing that they thought it should be. And when it didn't work out that way, and when it didn't do that, and I've shared this, kind of when we've been on the show before, but it's amazing how many times their whole response to it is, well, that should have been like this. Mm-hmm. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't. And so this aspect of adversity is something that we all have to think about, and we all have to be developing our teams such that when the unexpected things come on scene, guess what? We can be successful together. And I just briefly shared this with you. I don't go into religion here or anything like that, but it was sort of interesting that Dr. David Jeremiah, a pastor that probably a lot of people know, made a quote that was very good in terms of leadership and all. And the quote, talking about adversity, said that adversity helps to really prove our friendship. That's what he said. And I actually sort of posted that on something on the Facebook and everything right after that. But what I did is I added right after his quote, I added a quote that I added to it right after that. And what I said is I said dot 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 and our true synergy and oneness. And and it's really interesting when
Mm-hmm.
we think about this aspect of adversity, and because guess what, it does come on scene, with us many times, and what are we? How are we going to be ready to do that? And this actually dovetails out a little bit of what we talked about last week with that stuff and with some of the stuff we talked about last week. But yeah, that's kind of where we'll go today. It's a key aspect when you are looking at adversity and wanting to just put it aside and get successful and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And you know what most people in our society today have been sort of trained to do. Well, I would say a lot of people. I think probably most people have been trained to do is to just, you know, shut their
Yeah.
people's brain down and tell them
Mm-hmm.
what to do and to just do this, do this, do this. Well, guess what? If you're having to do that, you have not done a good job of truly developing their processing ability and their ability to make decisions and catch the vision and all of that. If you've gotten to a point where you can help them develop that, then guess what? When that adversity comes on scene, it's not really as threatening. It's not really as crazy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, does it take some energy? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
But does it take some vision?
Yeah.
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 But you know what so many people think, and I think I shared this with you before, what so many people today think in many ways is when you're talking about synergy, it means every one of us thinks the same and does exactly the same and does it the same way. You
No.
know what? No, that's not the way it should be. And if you think about a true synergy coming on scene in your journey, what a lot of people don't realize, and I shared this with a colleague of mine with the Institute for Organizational Neuroscience in the NPN hub, the Lisa Wurmberger, um, uh, uh, in our show before, and she talked about this whole thing of neuroscience and everything, and it's what happens is sometimes we fire up our people to get their emotions going. Well, guess what? We're pushing them all aside and not having them clarity really on what we're trying to accomplish here. Uh, and but also, if you tell them to just not worry about this and set this aside, you're doing it on the same thing. So the idea is staying centered on where you're going.
Yep.
And but the other part of this is when you're talking about this true synergy, and like I say, adversity can make you see whether that truly exists in your team or not. That can be deeper than most people realize because here's the thing. When you're talking about the true synergy in a challenging situation or one that brings adversity into the picture, one of the things that you got to realize is if you, and I'll just say, if you have three people on your team that are working with you, kind of thing,
You're
guess
like,
what? Each of those
yep.
people might observe or see one aspect a little different than the others. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, they may see one little factor here that nobody else has seen yet,
Very true.
kind of thing. And so it doesn't just mean that everybody just shuts their brain off and goes and does what we said, kind of thing, but it's really developing that awareness and that realization. And guess what? With the communication, sometimes you'll have one person that might say to the other rest of the team, "Hey, you know what about this?" And the other people kind of go, "Oh yeah, yeah," and then you come to a synergistic thing that says, well, "Let's do this to get beyond this and reach the success." And you know what? That aspect of the synergy can make a dramatic difference in the success of where the team is going. And what is, like I say, what is so truly amazing is that when you have adversity and things like that are coming into your team or on your journey right now, guess what? that can point out whether
Yep.
your team has that ability
Ah,
or you may have out of if like I said, if you have three people, you may have two of those people that think exactly the
that.
same thing,
Yep.
and the other person goes, "Oh yeah, but you know what? What about this?
You can't.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
kind of
uh-huh.
thing." And you know what? You may find that you need to amend your strategy just slightly,
Yeah.
or guess what? You may have to amend it with a good turn for just today,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You never know. But the bottom line is when you're talking about this aspect of adversity, the, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's a little bit of a challenge. But you know what? The true benefit of it is it helps you as the leader to observe whether your team has true synergy. And when you have true synergy, that doesn't mean they're all just shutting their brain off and doing exactly the same thing. That's not what you want. And that doesn't define true synergy because when unpredictable events happen and unpredictable factors come on scene, you know what? There may be some aspects that people didn't
Yep.
consider before,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what? Do they have the ability? In fact, if you're the leader, do you have the ability to develop within your team to see what the true success is out of this situation? And it's just something that so many people today don't totally understand about this aspect of the true synergy and oneness. Doesn't mean we all think exactly the same. Doesn't mean that we just choose exactly the same things all the time. Because some of us, some of them
Mm-hmm.
may observe certain factors that nobody else on the team did. Now,
Mm-hmm.
should they just shut their brain off and go over there and address that? No.
Mm-hmm.
What they need to do is to communicate what they saw. And
Yeah.
then on your team, if you, the leader, are causing your team to just shut them down and say, no, just forget about that, and go on, you're not getting the job done and you're not building the synergy. You're actually disconnecting them.
Wow.
And um, but if you get it to where the point that each of the team members totally appreciate how each one of them is communicating, each one of them is bringing awareness and increasing awareness together about what's happening. Guess what? Amazing results can happen when people are doing that and they see what the real strategy should be to get further beyond where they thought they were going.
Wow. Well, thank you
And
for.
and and these are just some insights with this that a lot of people today typically don't think so much about. It's not just rote academic, and in today's world, not everything fits rote and academic stuff. And as a pilot, go figure. When you're talking about a jet pilot, either in the military or civilian, kind of thing, guess what?
Yeah.
You're going to have stuff that comes on scene that you didn't expect. And do you are you aware of how the risks may have changed? Are you aware of the true realism of the situation
Yeah.
and what you need to do? And so it's just really, and I think I've shared this one time before, Jill. I don't know if I ever shared this back when I was a pilot one time, and this was like 1988. So I mean, it was almost 40 years ago. But I was flying
Uh,
a Learjet out in over the Atlantic Ocean, which we were about 35 feet above the water because we were working with a Navy frigate out there, Navy ship kind of thing. But we actually had a seagull come in and do a bird strike on our airplane,
oh.
and I was the flying airplane. I was the flying pilot on it,
Oh my goodness.
and and I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but this is just a little bit of a picture of kind of what I'm talking about here. Some adversity comes from out of nowhere all of a sudden. Well, what we did is we were sitting there and they wanted us to do cruise missile profiles for practice. And
Uh
so
huh.
all of the little trips where we were flying toward the ship, we were under 35 feet above the water.
Wow.
And and as we were going in on one um, uh, uh, route inward, I noticed some movement in here in my corner visual up here, and I kind of glanced up there very quickly because you can't just take your vision off of the ocean because you're so low. And I see this seagull out there just going looking for fish, and he was crossing our path. Well, I knew
Wow.
what he was going to do. I said, I'll bet you he's going to be right here and he's going to feel our bow wave. And what I know is that birds, when they get scared, what they do is they fold their wings and dive because that's the quickest escape. And so this seagull actually turned out right in front of us. And I'm so low, you can't really bank the airplane or can't climb because he's right there above us kind of thing. And sure enough, guess what? As soon as we got close enough where he sort of felt the bow wave of the airplane, he folded his wings and he hit right in front of my nose on the windscreen and went. And without even talking to the other pilot, I immediately started a gentle climb away from the water because I knew
Wow.
he might have gone through the engine. And as we're climbing up slowly, I told the other pilot, I said, check the engines. And in my corner velocity here, I saw his fingers up and he was looking at each of the engine gauges and everything.
Oh my
He said, looks like
goodness.
the engines are good. And I told him, I said, well, I'll tell you what, it's a bird strike. So I'll tell you what, tell the ship we've got to return to base and just in case. And he called them and we returned to base. And when we landed, we found seagull stuff right on the top lip of the engine. He missed going through the engine about that much kind of thing and probably shearing the engine and taking it, shutting it down and everything like that. But the bottom line is there are skills sometimes that don't just fit a normal thing. It's not just an academic thing, but it's having complete awareness of the factors that are involved, the risk. And when you're talking about something, are you increasing the risk or are you decreasing the risk? And when you talk about adversity in your situation, what do you see as a leader? What do you truly see in your team members?
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that if all you're doing is trying to get them to go to road academic things, you're not getting the job done and you're not developing them and you're not growing the team to be more successful. And so those are just some aspects about it that a lot of people kind of forget about. But when you look at this aspect of adversity, not only does it prove our friendship with somebody, but you know what? It also proves our true synergy and true oneness as a team. And it can also prove your leadership as a leader.
Mm.
Because if everything goes into a spin or something right then, you probably have not been developing the team.
Mm-mm.
You've not been working with them to help them grow their insights and their awareness and kind of what things they're looking for sometimes and things of that nature. And so when you look at this aspect of adversity, when you're taught, it's very very aligned with organizational maneuverability. No two ways about it. And but when you are doing that and you see adversity, if all your mind is doing is going to some road academic things, we got to do this, we got to
Yeah.
do this, you are not being a leader and you're not getting the job done. And
Oh.
it's amazing. It's building your people. It's helping them. When you hear your team members being aware of certain things and also having a little bit of a insight into the risk that is brought on the scene because of that adversity and because of the things that are coming on, if they're aware of that, like when I was truly aware of the risk. It's not that was a big thing. I didn't do something crazy to try to miss the bird because we couldn't down at that low, but I knew exactly what to do. And um and and um but you know what, when you're talking about adversity coming into your team and your mission and what you're trying to accomplish, your strategy, when the unexpected factors come on scene and things that you just weren't even aware of come on scene, how do you experience your team working together really?
Yeah.
If to the extent that they are, guess what? You've developed them a good way, and they're really moving towards a possibility of success. But if you don't sense that in them, you haven't done your job and they have not grown. And maybe there was some narcissistic feelings in all of that from the whole team, maybe from you, kind of thing. Who knows? But the bottom line is when you look at this aspect of adversity, like I said, it just I brought it out that he brought it out and said it proves adversity proves our friendship. Yep, it does. But you know what? And that's where I added it to it from this organizational maneuverability concept and the professional concept.
Mm-hmm.
It also proves your synergy and your oneness. And that doesn't mean that you're just working together. Because here's the thing, if you have one person on your team that sees this aspect over here that nobody else did, then they go over there and they kind of keep it from impacting you. And this person sees something over here that the other people didn't see, and they're working on that one to keep it. And all of a sudden you find out you've gotten through the stress.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, wow. Sometimes that's what true synergy is about. It's not just thinking exactly the same. It's not just automatically doing the same thing all the time, thing like that. The synergy is really oneness, and
Mm-hmm.
it's working together for the result you're looking for. And it's just something to think about when you think about this concept of adversity and what can that really bring? What can that really enhance in your success? But also, if you think about it, adversity can do wonders for truly developing your team to become so much more than it ever thought.
Yeah.
And as a leader, if you're able to bring out some of the great questions, some of the great thoughts, some of the great conversations, and having them involved in the conversations, guess what?
Yeah.
Your team can become almost miraculous in some ways. And it's, when your higher bosses sit there and say, "Man, they're awesome." Oh yeah, kind of thing. And and so it's just something to think about that when you're talking about this adversity, what is that really showing you for your team, and how are you growing? How is your team really becoming?
Really.
And that can kind of give some insights on it. So it's just a good picture of that. And so just thought I would share that.
As always, we love your conversation. We still got 5 minutes left. Randy, remind us all the ways we can reach out to you, please.
Okay. You can give me a phone call. If you go to my website, it's the easiest way, coachingforrelevance.com website. And at the bottom of the homepage, it has my email and it has my cell phone number on it. So people can call me. They can send me an email or something like that, or you can text me or whatever. But as you know, and you've heard me say this a lot of times, but I don't do sales pitches, kind of thing. If somebody calls and they have a need of something, yeah, we'll put something together, and there'll be a charge with that. But I just build relationships, and so if somebody wants to just kind of call and have a conversation, I'm okay with that, and I welcome it. So it's just, but the easiest way, like I said, if they go onto my website and down at the bottom of the homepage, you'll see it has my cell phone number on it and my email on it, and they can reach out and contact me, and I welcome having a conversation. And if they're in the
Beautiful.
area here around Dallas, Fort Worth, or whatever, if they're in this area and they want to just get together and have a Coke or something and talk, hey, we can do that. So as long as our schedules are aligned and everything, but yeah, it's so that's the easy way people can kind of get in touch with me easy, and like I said, you don't have to worry about big sales pitches from me when we
Yeah.
call. If you have a need on something, yeah, we'll come up with something, but I don't start out with sales pitches. I just get to know people and connect with people.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And, it's been a rough few weeks in the aviation business. You as a pilot, aware of what's
Some of
happening
the
in
accidents.
the news. I know. I mean, just as an expert in the field, what would you say to, us in layman's terms about what's been happening? Because people go into panic mode and think, air transportation is still one of the safest forms of travel. Right? It's hard to say that, but, we have car accidents all the time, pedestrian accidents. But any insight to that, just, because you're an expert in the field, any take on any of the situations that you want to share?
Well, I don't have any of the specific knowledge on it right now, but I know that with the investigations, I know for the one at DC, they're looking at some of the air traffic controllers and stuff and how things were communicated and stuff like that, and so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But we'll also, I haven't heard anything specific on the one in Philadelphia.
I know.
But I will say this, I hate that those people died, kind of thing on a medical airlift kind of thing. And, but I will say this, that the Lear 55 is one of the airplanes that I was a lead instructor on here at DFW Airport and trained in that airplane for a number of years and everything. And I'm in Challengers. I'm in a bigger airplane now. But the bottom line is it'll be interesting to see. But you know what? When you're out there flying like that, there's very often a number of things that can happen. And you know what? Your pilots need to be able to know what they need to do on that and how to do that safely and how to avoid risk and things of that nature. And I'm not saying they blew that in these two. Don't know, but it's you got as a pilot particularly, and guess what? If you're a leader in a rapidly changing environment like that, guess what? You got to be aware of that stuff, and you got to know what you're going to do when things sort of happen. And so it's going to be interesting to see how all that comes out. But I'm sorry for all the people that passed away in those two accidents for sure.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. And I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope people do reach out, take advantage of your coaching, and, pick up a copy of the book and reach out. He's just a great guy.
I welcome that if they do that.
Yeah.
They can go to Amazon and get it. Yeah. So I appreciate that. And I will say this. Thank you for saying that, because everybody that has read it so far has been very applauding on how it came across and everything. So I appreciate that. And we welcome that. If anybody needs questions answered on it or whatever, that'd be great.
You got it. Coachingforrelevance.com. Go to the website, check them out, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, Randy.
Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.